Cool. Yeah, it's doing it now. Great.
Cool.
Okay, I'll share. Let me just share my desktop. Great.
Okay. So
yeah, you can see that. Nice. Okay.
So this is my code. So the first two lines are the first two are just clearing all of the variables and whatever's been written on the command window. So we get a clean start. On the third line, we have x equals load dataset.csv. We're just bringing in the dataset, which is the one you sent me the last time without the. So if I recall correctly, we have the 3 columns, and then you wrote something else. I removed that, and it's just the.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. So
That's it.
Loaded it in the
so first column is the starting frame, second column is the ending frame, and then third column is the item for which the baby is looking at. Then I'm just naming columns. I'm creating arrays for each of the columns. We have column 1, column 2, and column 3, and I'm extracting that from the x variable, which holds the data set that I've brought in.
Yeah, that's all row like in here, right? So all rows, first column.
Exactly.
Rows,
so the semicolon is all rows, and the number denotes the column order. Then I want to see the maximum number, the biggest number of the toy item that we have in the third column, and the smallest one. So I want to create a range essentially.
Oh, I see.
Because you've told me that it was from 1 to 6. Actually, when you run it, it's from 1 to 5. But maybe in another data set, it could be from 1 to 7 or from 1 to 10.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't just want to say it's from 1 to 10 or 1 to 6. Just see what the maximum and minimum numbers are on that column.
That's good. I like that. Yeah. Nice.
So this is what it does. Now, can you go back to the dataset X?
Yeah, sure.
So see the starting frame here is 667, no?
Yeah.
From what you asked me to, from what you told me to have essentially create here is to start with a matrix with zeros up until we have the very first starting frame. And the way to do that is essentially to find out what the starting frame is and just start from the previous one. So you want to have 666, the number of the beast, rows.
No, I understand.
So this is what I'm doing here. So I'm telling the matrix create a matrix full of zeros with so many columns. Sorry.
Yeah, the columns are
so
5 coding plus the frame number. So
so I'm saying here, so column 1, element 1 is 667 minus 1. So I want to have 666 rows here, and this is what it's gonna we're going to have 666 zero columns, 0 rows, and then similarly, I want to have the number of the objects from 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, or whatever, plus 1, which is going to
the frame. So we're going to put the frame. So if I put a breakpoint there and run it, I guess we'll see M now has
exactly
the zeros and all zeros. So it's 5 plus 1, and this should be to 6, 6,
okay.
6.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. And column number 6 is going to hold the number of the frame, which are going to import.
Great.
So, and then I'm creating a for loop here, for which it starts from k equals 1 until 666. It's the same number I've used to create the number of rows in matrix M. So yeah, and then it's just running through it and just putting the number from 1 to 666 in order to fill in that matrix. Okay, this is
That's one.
this.
Sorry, yeah, that's 1 to 666, and then you one. Oh, and you're filling in on that sixth column for whichever row. Yeah, whichever
Yeah,
number.
so it's
you're filling
called
the number.
K here is the row number, which is also the number of the frame.
Yeah.
And it's being placed at the very last column.
Yeah.
Which is column number 6 here.
Amazing. So that should, yeah, here we go. So yeah, that's up to there. Amazing. I got it. Wow. Yeah, that's great. Okay, I understand it now. Okay.
So, but this is the point at which no frame at the baby is not looking at anything during any at any frames. So now we're starting. We're going to the actual frames which we have recorded, and we want so from 667 until 686. That's a total of 20 rows. You want that to have a value of 1 at column number 4, and equally show the number of the frame at column number 6.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm telling the code here to do is essentially to start from 1, I equals 1.
Yeah.
And loop through up until the point we've gone through the total length of column 1. So column 1 has a total number of.
Is length the row number? So is the length?
Yes, 186. So this is going to loop 186 times.
Okay.
So on the first, let's do the first time.
Yeah.
On the first time, then it's going to call variable j. And again, it's going to run from here
to here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Column 1, element 1, so 667, up until column 2, element 1. So again, 686. Again, if we go, just staying on this, if we go on loop number 2, so I equals 2, it's going to run from j is going to be from 687 until 715.
Cool. Yeah. Okay.
And this is going to pass on the data to matrix M. So going back to row number 1, 660. So say this is I equals 667. No, sorry, I is 1. So j is 667. And so on M on M's row number 667, at column
3, which is this.
Exactly. Column. So no, it's the value of column 3 on the original data set, but it's going to be the on column 4. Because it points at column 3 here, it points at column 4 of the new matrix.
Yeah, yeah, sorry.
It's going to place a value of 1.
Yeah, yeah.
And similarly, again, on the same row, if you see the line below, so on row 667, on the very last column of our new matrix, matrix M, it's going to place the value of the frame. So what the value of j is during that loop. So on loop 6 on when j is 667, this is going to be 667. When it's 668, again 668.
Yeah.
And then it's going to loop. It's going to finish off from I equals 1. So it's going to, when I is 1, j is going to run through from 667 to 686. When it's 2, again from 687 to 715. So we have this dynamic flipping and switching of the values of I. I is pretty much constant. I is just 1, 2, 3, 4. J can be the intervals for which j is being looped through can vary based on what's been called. And this is what it does. It's just
nice.
looping through I and j and just picking up values from our original dataset to create our new to fill in our new matrix M.
Nice.
And then at the very once this is over, once I runs from 1 to 186 and j through all of those values, I'm just calling matrix M.
Just in it, which that just shows in the command window, doesn't it, at the bottom? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. I swear earlier I did it, showed all the zeros. Yeah. Strange, isn't it? There we go. Yeah. Yeah, that's matrix M at the bottom, isn't it? So yeah, if I break, I'm just going to break on those. So then the first one is going to, oh, hang on, sorry, next one. So that's going to do, that's going to put a 1. That's going to put the 1s in for the first, up to 6. Oh, that just does the first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as I keep looping through, it will.
And on the next one, it's going to place.
It's going to add this 667
exactly,
here, isn't it, for this line, isn't it? Yeah. Cool. And then it's going to do the next row and the one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, it's going to end, and yeah, there we go. Yeah, and then it's going to add 668. Yeah, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice. That's really cool. I'm sure it seems super simple to you, but I just think it's really cool. I think it's interesting watching it.
I had to think about it, but essentially you have to kind of visualize how you are going to unfold your original data set into your what you want to have it at what you want to have at the very end.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think I did something similar. I'm just trying to think if mine is. I think it's. I have repeated it on like 6 different data sets. Mine, so I think it's okay. It's just that yours, I think, is a bit more efficient. It's just in it's in fewer steps.
Mm-hmm. By all means, use it to
show you. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'd like to. I'll change it. I think I can show you what I did in the same. I had to like sync. That's later on. I sync the values. But yeah, this is it for all 7 columns.
Mm-hmm.
I basically what I did. I'll show you what I did. Is I have we've got different names, but I've got. Oh, shit, sorry, I've got. I do it so I can select because I've actually made this so I can do it with multiple files now, and it will run it through multiple ones. Oh, error. Okay. Why is it an error? Hang on, maybe I'm in the wrong. Oh, no, I'm in the right folder now. Oh, why is it erroring? Oh, it's because I've got it for multiple files. Oh, hang on, I'll do it with multiple. Oh, so not. Hang on, let me just change this to the hard code. Oh, we should use this, don't we? Oh. Yeah, cool. Let me just. Yeah, so yeah, my file is called so I've got it with 2 files. But yeah, so this is like my version of X, CSV file 1. So I think what I'm doing, if I look at CSV file 1, yeah, so this is similar, but mine starts. Actually, let me look at CSV file 2 then, because CSV file 2 starts at 608.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've done a while loop here. So I've said while. So yeah, so I've done X is 1 to the size of CSV file. So the size is the same as your map. I think it's the same as length size goes to 237.
Mm-hmm.
So X is 1 to 237. J is X and column 1. I've done this so differently to you. So what I've done a while loop. I've said while J, which is this value first, is not equal to this value.
Mm-hmm.
Do J is J plus 1, and in the matrix I've put J as the frame number.
Mm-hmm.
and it just goes through until it hits that point, and then it prints. Yeah, it goes through until it hits that point, and then ignore this. This is for syncing. I have to sync the values up.
Actually, conceptually, it's not far. So
yeah, it's not far off. It's a bit different.
the only thing I'm noticing here, although I'm not sure, is that you've used numbers that have not been produced automatically. So I see 7 and 14.
Oh yeah, you're right. Whereas you did the code. Yeah, you're right, because
So,
I think they do only go up. They do only go up to 5 with what we do. But you're right. Like if we suddenly had a different coding,
yes, exactly,
6 or 7, yours can be used for any size, any number.
exactly. So if
Well, I
something
could change
changes,
this though. I could just change this to like I could find that max value and change these 7s, 14s, couldn't I? And do the number, the max plus 1.
Yeah. So try to avoid using numbers and use variables instead, wherever possible.
Yeah. Well, what I was doing, because I'm quite new to this, I start by like hard coding it to look at what comes in the command window, and then I try and substitute everything for a variable and build it. That's how I was doing it. I guess this looks longer because I've got these sync values. So I got the 2, and I have to know which one is how they sync and stuff. But actually it's quite similar then, I suppose. This is what you did when this is how I choose the frame number, the column number. So yeah, the third column of the CSV file, this one becomes, I don't know why it's called code 2, but that's where I place a 1. I place a value of 1, and it says plus. Ignore the +7. Actually, this is more similar. So I place the 1 in the column that is whatever this value is in column 3. Yeah, same. It's the same. I guess it's the same concept. I don't know if I need these squares. I probably don't need these, actually. I don't know why I put those in. Yeah, I was unsure. Sometimes I see about matrix cell values needing square brackets and sometimes not needing. I was getting a bit confused with that, but I don't think.
Since you are already calling a specific element of the matrix, you don't need to put square brackets. Just equate it to something specific. It could either be a number or a string, I guess.
Right. So yeah, I could definitely get the max. I could get those max values, couldn't I? So max is just the file. Oh no, it's max. What is it? Max.
Max.
Is it like that? And then it's, if I want column 3, don't I? So do you just do that? What's the?
I think you need to put the number of the CSV file.
Yeah, sorry. Is that it? Is it just with a 3? Let me have a look at your max. Oh, column 3, which is it looks through. Okay, sorry.
You need to choose the whole column. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. That's it, right? I think.
Yeah.
Let me just check at the bottom. Oh, interesting though. It's given us 6. Yeah, there's 6 in this one. Oh, not in this one. There's 6 in. Yeah, look, there's a 6 here. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, so I can, if I just replace those, and then I can call it maxval1 instead of everywhere it says 7, I'll do maxval1 plus 1. Is that it? I think that's it. And then the other one I'll do for the mother one, I'll do code 2 plus maxval1 plus 1 and code 2. Is that right? Yeah, because that's the mum. I have to jump across. I have to jump across 7. But then it's not always across 7, is it? Is that right? Yeah, that must be right. Yeah, it is right. Of course. Yeah. Okay. So if you're row 6, it will jump to row 13. If you're okay. I think that's right. Plus 1. Yeah, it's a bit confusing with this because I've got a double. I've got because I've got because it creates 14 columns. Oh shit, that didn't. What's that doing? Oh wait, I've got the break. Because it creates 14 columns. It does. So the first ones, it takes, the column number, but then I do it plus. I want to like move it across another. So if it's column 3, if it would go into column 3 normally, I actually want to put it into column 10 for the other one. So I have to do plus. That's why it's adding 7. I added 7, but I'm going to add. If I add the maximum value plus 1 for the frame one, then it does the same thing. Okay, great, amazing. Yeah, that works. Yeah, I'm sure mine's a bit of a mess compared to, so and this is where yours is good. I like what you did. This is amazing, because what I had to do is when I run this, I was doing this like step by step, and it's a bit messy. So when I first made it, it created this where for example, this one, because it started at 608, it has a load of zeros, and it does it at the bottom. It did it at the bottom, I think, maybe as well. Yeah, the bottom, because it's not as long as the other data set. Well, they both got. Because you've got to sync. Because we sync, and I push a load of values down because of the way I've got to sync the ones and zeros. So here I just did something to fill in anywhere where there's empty frame numbers. I did something that fills it in with the number, but again, it's probably a bit messy and can be done. But it was cool that you did it at the beginning. You filled in the top bit first, which was cool. But I also have to fill in this bottom bit as well. I don't know. It's working. It's just
the only thing I haven't accounted for with respect to zeros, like just zeros, is okay. We've put the zeros at the very beginning, but I thought, okay, what if you have zeros later on? Big blocks of zeros,
which I had here because I have to sync either the left or the right of this thing. It pushes all of the column 1 to 6. Like this one, it pushes it down like 270 rows, and it creates new rows that didn't have zero. It didn't have frame numbers. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, I have to sync it, and then the mum one, the other side also just gets these rows, but it's all they're all zeros because there's nothing in that at that point for some of it. But so I just fill it in. I just filled it in with numbers, which maybe is okay. Maybe there's a way to do this all together for both sides, but I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's a way to fit it. I don't know. It works. It's just I just don't know how efficient. Because you can see even when I play this, that takes like a second to process. I don't know how quick it should be, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's okay. Yeah.
Then by all means, more or less the concepts. I think the best, advice I can give you is essentially just sit down, don't write any code, just visualize what you want to end up with, and use the concepts so far to just unfold the data and get what you want to get at the very end.
That's good advice, because I think
you've for the most part you've done a pretty good job, so you're not far.
I think it's because it was my first ever script, so I was writing it. I was coding because I wanted to see what it was doing in the command, and I just built on top. Whereas here I can see that you've right, I've got this data set and I want to create this, and you've just worked out what needs to move where, and it's just, that's why it's neater, which I can I can see. I can appreciate that. It's that's a good way to do it. I was going to ask if hopefully this is a really quick question. Let me just see if I can find a quick one. I have to do, so I've got a code here that looks, I'm looking at baby follow. So let's say that columns 1 to 7 are the baby, where the baby looks, which toy the baby is looking at, and columns 8.
Is this Demetris we've been creating?
This is a different. Actually, yeah. I'm whichever one I put in here. So I'm using number 19. So it's fine. I'm using a different one here.
No. I mean, it's toy
Yes.
number 1, toy number 2, toy number 3, and then
the one
the
next
frame
to it.
number.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. I've called it file here. Yeah. So exactly. So then basically once we create this matrix, we're going to do loads of other analyses using the matrix. So this one looks, this does a few things, this one, but the best thing it does is it looks at when the baby, one of the columns, when in each column, when it turns from a 0 to a 1, because it means that the baby has changed where it's looking to something new. And it looks make sure the mother at that point has a 0 at the same time. So we know that the baby, that's for the lead, isn't it? Sorry, it looks like the preceding, I can define the number of seconds or frames. So like here it's 5 seconds, it's 50 frames per second, it's 5 seconds, where the mother has started looking within 250 frames before when the baby starts to look, if that makes sense. So I'm looking at when the baby follows the mum.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I
want to see if within 250 frames, the baby has followed the gaze of the mother.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if there's a good way to show it. I don't think there's a good way to show it, but yeah. And then I'm working on like average times, which ones where they're looking, and then I find out like average time for the baby to look at to look. But there was something I was going to ask you that was just a specific coding thing. I'm sure it's a mess in here, but it all works. It actually all works. But the problem is that I have to. Okay, this is what I was going to ask. So, sorry, I just want to bring up the file. Okay, so I've done it at 250 seconds. That's kind of the maximum I can do, because if the baby, let's say, okay, for example, let me move my zoom out the way. Baby lead follow. So sorry, I just know what this means myself. So 6, 6, 7, 8. So at 6, 6, 7, 8, the baby has started to look at something. They've started to look at something, and they've followed the mother. So 6, 6, 7, 8. We should see a number 1. Change here. Okay, 6, 6, 7, 8. The baby has started to look at toy number 1. And that means the way that I've got it is they have followed the mum. The mum was looking at toy 1 within the 500 frames, at some point within 500. So there it is. The mum was looking there within the 500 frames before. So that's a follow interaction. What I'm doing here is I look for where the baby starts, and then I look back 250 frames to make sure that the mother looked. And if they did, then I count that as the baby was following the mum. Does that make sense so far? I don't know.
Yeah, although to be honest, I don't see why using this dataset is more efficient than using the original dataset, because in your original dataset, you can track in a much more efficient way when the gaze changes. Yeah, because you actually have it's the way the data set is defined points at when the gaze is being changed.
True. Yeah, that's true. I think it's I don't know. It was only because of what the PhD students they basically create the matrix, and then they do all of their different analyses, and I think it may be because they start combining different types of analyses together, and if they know everything can be done using that matrix, so maybe it's just I don't know. Maybe that's I don't know why. You know why? Because they also have to sync, because they have to sync up the values. You can't do that you could. But you have to move. You have to shift either the mum or the baby. You have to shift all the numbers. So maybe, and I don't know. Maybe it's easier with it. I don't know. The question I was going to ask you though is that if the baby, for example, here changes their view within the first 250 frames, I get an error because it can't look back more than 250 rows. So if I change this to let's say I want to look 10 seconds and I look at 500, I'll get an error because the first one isn't. Oh, why am I not getting an error? All right, let me put 1,000. Depends on the date, the matrix, the data set. Here we go. Yeah, because it's going to look. It's trying to look back before row 0 because it's looking. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just put an if statement.
I want to limit it somehow or something.
Just say an if statement. If you still want to use 1,000, just say if. So this is a problem when the row you're starting from is less than 1,000. No.
Let me show you. So the problem is there should be before 1,000, the baby here will start to look at something. Here we go. Because the number is 891. So okay. if I do 890, this should be okay. Mm-hmm. This should be okay. Yeah, but if I do 892, I should get the error because it's looking back at the month.
Just use an if statement for
lower down to say that if they're on.
So just say if frame.
I mean, obviously, I've got some other I can call some of these other variables. So this is. So basically, the way you find this. Sorry, I've got comments all over this thing. Is matrix initialize codes initialize here. So it's this, right? So y. So I find where the difference.
So is y defining where to start looking from?
No, y is just when it changes from a 0 to a 1. Mm-hmm. So it looks through. So baby toy number looks through every row for each. Well, I'm just looking at whatever columns I specify a toy number basically. So it looks through the columns, and y looks for all the instances where the number changes from 0 to 1 basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you are telling it to start looking to look for 1,000 frames before.
Yeah.
That before something, where is it being defined?
Yeah, it's sorry, it's super long. Yeah, it must be. It's this one. So what's
baby frame?
Sorry, I'm just looking. Previous mum codes. Here we go. So I create a So first, it's probably a bad way to do it, maybe, but I have the number I want to look back, and then there's a matrix called the previous mum codes, because I'm doing this to do a few different things. So I create a matrix that is 892 plus 1 rows, and it's 1 column. Then I expand that, I think, later, but yeah. And then what it is, it's the whatever frame we're at minus 892 or whatever the number is.
So I think the problem is when the baby frame is smaller than frame check before. Is that correct?
When the baby frame is less than
yes.
Check before. Yeah,
so exactly, if baby frame is 890 and you got 891 from frame check before, then you got the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So
exactly.
What you want to do if you still want to use 1,000, for example, and avoid having such problem, is just come up with an if statement and say if baby frame is less than 1,000, then frame check is equal to baby frame, else 1,000.
Right. Yeah. So I just test it quickly and see it. Yeah.
Actually, if
is less than baby frame, then frame check before. This is a ridiculous script, I know. Equals baby frame.
Actually, baby frame minus 1. Hi, Bexy.
Oh yeah, otherwise it will go to 0.
Sorry, guys.
Hi, Bexy. How you doing?
I'm good. We were watching a movie and then suddenly I looked at my phone and I was like, no!
Right, was it a good... Oh wait, sorry, actually. Sorry, that's wrong. Let's put the else in there. What film are you watching?
Iron Man.
Oh, nice. Is it good? I've never
Yeah,
seen
it's good.
Yeah.
The other Demetri has got me watching Marvel films, so you can blame
Very
him.
nice. Yeah, I never really got into Marvel. I need to watch some more Marvel stuff. No,
It's
there's
all on
probably
Disney
that.
Plus.
Sorry.
It's all on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have. They put everything on there, haven't they? We recorded everything back then, so
Yeah, that's it.
we'll watch it back. We went through Demetris' code, and then he's just trying to help me solve an issue here. But
Okay.
yeah.
Dean, do you get why I said a -1?
Yeah, I do, because otherwise it would go to 0.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, why am I getting an area? Unable to perform something because the size of the left A93 and the size of the right is the original 2147. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we have to just move this thing into here and do something with it that's different. Yeah, and then maybe we just repeat it. Maybe that works. No. Oh god, sorry. I know it's obviously a new file for you, so it probably doesn't.
It doesn't make much sense for me, but hold the concept, just work on it.
Yeah.
I think this is the way to go, but could try something else if you want to.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, it's a baby frame, that's the problem. It's looking at baby frame. Yeah. Yeah, the problem is that baby frame is too high. Too high here. Baby frame minus. Yeah, I'll work it out. Yeah, I need to write it down or something. That should work. I don't know why.
You haven't defined the else value though.
No, because yeah.
You do have to say.
Sorry, yeah, that should go there, shouldn't it? And it shouldn't do it just shouldn't do.
No, there is no frame check before when baby frame is more than.
There is. It's defined up here, right? The problem seems to be that we've now shortened the number of rows on one side, on the left side, but not on the right side of this.
Okay. I'm not sure what part of the code that is.
It's so this. Oh, maybe because previous. Sorry, I know this is. Yeah, it's. No, I don't know. Okay, I can play. It's there's a lot here, and it's difficult to look at something that you haven't written, I guess. But yeah, the concept makes sense to me. So I'll go and play with it. That makes sense. The frame check before is baby frame -1. Yeah, it's weird that. It's weird that it doesn't work, but. Yeah, weird. All right. Yeah, I'll figure that out. Minus. I'll figure it out. Yeah. Okay.
It takes a while. I remember spending like 10 hours at the library just to sort out the script. So you need patience. That's the thing.
You know what? Yeah. When I'm my like subtracting values and things, gets me a bit confused. But if frame check before is less than baby frame, then frame check before becomes, so if frame, okay, let's just, I'm going to quickly, so frame check before is 800, and baby frame is 1000, then we're going to change frame check before to 909 to 999, which is still too big. So that, no, yeah, that's the problem. Then we need to change baby frame, don't we? Is it that way? It's that way, isn't it? It's that way around.
No, actually, I think it's the other way around. Maybe you need, so if frame check before, so if he wanted it to be 1000 and it's bigger than your baby frame.
Oh, bigger that.
Yes.
Sorry. No, the problem is if frame check before, the problem is if frame check before is smaller than my baby. Oh,
It's bigger when it's 1000 and you got it.
Bigger. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's bigger. Ooh,
And
we're only out.
I still think you have a problem because in the first instance you're defining frame check and then you're not. So within that if statement. So, or does frame check still have a file? Does it have a file? Is it being defined beforehand?
It's being defined here, isn't it?
Okay.
Because that I would set that at the top, like depending on what I want to test. If I want to test for 10, like if the 10 seconds before or 5 seconds,
okay,
window is that we want to test. So sorry, Bexy, what we're doing is we're looking at like the follow and lead stuff. So looking back, but if we want to look like 10 seconds before a baby changes their look, but they look within the first 10 seconds of something or change, then it's going to try and look back before row 0 currently, because it's minusing 1000 frames for 10 seconds, and 1000 frames don't exist, if that makes sense. It's kind of going off the thing, error.
What's the whole thing where it's got toy_num plus 7? What does that mean?
That's just going to the mum's side, because I'm always adding 7 to jump over to the mum's side at the moment. So it's kind of whatever toy I've defined as the toy numbers that I want to look at. It then jumps over and looks at the mum's side, basically, by adding 7 to go over 7 columns across.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, we defined. Yeah, so what we've defined frame check before. Was that an issue? It's bigger than baby frame. Then it's going to become. Yeah. Okay.
The only thing that could be happening, may be causing errors, is if you are merging matrices and you've got different sizes.
Well, actually, this is it. Well, the error here actually looks like it's just to do with these -1s or something, because we've got one side is 893 by 1 and the other side is 891. This previous mum codes that's the wrong size, because I was originally having to add 1 to line them up. Maybe that's maybe the issue, but yeah. Okay. Yeah, I bet it'd be interesting. I bet if I did that and did -2, it's gonna probably work, but I don't know. It's still no, I've changed. Yeah, I don't know. All right, maybe I'll just go and play with it and figure it out. But the concept makes sense of putting in an if statement and doing that. That makes sense. Yeah, I will go in and check that. Oh shit, what have I done? Oh, yeah, because this is too high. Yeah, okay, so that's 250. Okay. Cool. Yeah. All right. I'll bring in some of the things you did as well in here, because this is really good. This so it doesn't matter if we're coding up to 6 or coding up to 5. That's a really good. I really like that. That's a cool thing. That's really cool. So yeah, I'll do that across them. Nice. Cool. Yeah, sorry, Bexy. We kind of went through all this stuff. But we recorded it and basically went through like literally line by line what everything does and like looked at all the actual what all these variables are and yeah, so like the recording kind of should hopefully go through it all.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I missed it.
That's all right. All right. Yeah, Demetris, thank you so much for going through that. It's
Cheers, guys. Let me know if there's anything else you maybe need some.
Yeah.
You may need some help with, but
yeah, thanks. I think I guess if Bex and Crystal watch the video through, and then we get to a point where we can do some of these other ones that with these other kind of tests we're doing and we might hit some issues, or yeah, maybe we'll do one of them from in a couple of weeks or something. We'll do one from scratch, like one of these, because I'm sure I didn't write this initially to specifically look at the following thing. I did it for something else and I've kind of adapted it, so it's probably a bit of a mess. As you can see, it does a few things. I was originally doing it for something else and then I adapted it.
Was it from a PhD student?
No, I wrote it from scratch myself. But I wrote it I was looking at some other thing, like when the baby was leading and when they were just changing, when they were starting the interaction, and then the mum looks, and then I changed it to when the baby follows the mum. But really those should be totally separate scripts, and we can like have one. I'd really like to have a like a control script that can pull in other scripts. So if I want to run like a baby following the mum thing, we do that. You decide that in like a main like control script. I don't know what the word would be, but like one
Yeah,
script.
you can totally do that. Yeah, and automate the whole procedure.
Yeah.
By all means, if you could also create functions to just start. So these, instead of having all of these print statements, just use a function to call all of them.
Yeah.
There's lots of things you can do to just write as little as possible and get things done.
Exactly. I think I'll write this from scratch, just making it for a really specific function, and then do a new script for another one, and then yeah. Can you basically just turn these into functions, like full scripts?
You could. A function essentially just holds all kinds of different instructions that you use quite often, and you just don't want to just repeatedly write down.
Yeah.
Think of it like a black box that you just use to do things repeatedly.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Well, should we? Well, yeah, Bexy, maybe we should like go through. We keep going through stuff, and then we can decide what we want to analyze.
Yeah.
And
then, trying to get this essay out of the way.
Yeah,
first.
I know, right? Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah. I'm also trying to focus on that. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, should we message you when we like in a couple of weeks or something, Demetris, if we're onto something, and just have a question or something? Would that be okay?
Yeah, of course. Hit me up if you need anything.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate it. It was really helpful.
Is your brother any good at Matlab, Demetri?
Sorry?
Is your brother any good at Matlab?
Is there a what?
Is your brother any good at Matlab?
I wouldn't say it was his strong point during uni. He was rather good with other courses.
Okay.
I was more into Matlab.
Yeah.
What was your course, your degree?
Mechanical engineering. We both did mechanical engineering, but it's such a broad degree that you can end up doing very different things, and that's what we did. I ended up doing more computational courses, and my brother just did more like courses that were about regulations.
Oh right, okay, quite different.
He mainly focused on the building services industry, so I did some more coding.
You use like AutoCAD and stuff for mechanical engineering or not?
I used another software similar to that. It was called Solid Edge.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah, it's 3D modeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a big chunk of my degree was using software and getting accustomed to using software. So
Right.
Matlab,
Mhm.
LabVIEW, Solid, all kinds of stuff.
Nice. That's cool. Good fun. I've spent far too many hours in that for the last 2 weeks. God.
Yeah, it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
to be honest, I come from a STEM background, and it took me a good couple of years to really learn Matlab. Actually, you've been doing pretty well for given the time you've been using it. Especially when it comes to the concepts. I took Matlab on year 2 on a rather quite vague course,
Yeah.
and it took me a while to actually understand what's happening. And then I had to do another course in year 3 to actually dive into Matlab and use it to, I wouldn't say it's full extent, but actually do some pretty good coding to actually understand and fathom what one can do with it.
Yeah, I think to do like the basic stuff that we need to do, I think if you understand general concepts, if you can understand for and while loops and if statements,
Yeah,
and varying and calling variables, and then some of the MATLAB matrices and those kind of things, I think you can do a lot of. That's all I've used really for all, and then some MATLAB specific. I just Google like certain things to do with like, file stuff or whatever. But you're right, there are some really specific MATLAB like functions and things that you just need to learn from experience, right? I guess you just learn them as you go and when you need them. And
yeah, always remember this: Google is your friend when it comes to coding. It's
absolutely,
it is what it is. But it's like you said, if you understand some basic concepts, then you can walk your way through it, like for loops, while loops, variables, and data structures. You can build on that and just actually it allows you to ask the right questions on Google and come up with a final result.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of it's about the language you use when you search on Google, right?
Exactly. Yeah, keywords.
Yeah. Do you do much? Did you ever do much like graph plotting?
Graph plotting.
Yeah, in MATLAB or not really?
I did. Yeah. Actually, what was the last project I did? It was in my master thesis, which was essentially I automated plotting. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because we do have some specific types of graphs that we need to do, and I've spent like a couple of hours looking through Google trying to find. I just can't find how to do it. It's a really specific thing. But so maybe at some point, once we're onto that, it might be.
Don't worry about it. You actually just need to plot X and Y and whatever the respective variables are for that.
Can I show you this one? We obviously don't have to do it
now.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'll show you it. It's a really specific. Really specific thing. Oh, hang on, if I do that, this one. So yeah, we have like these. So for each, like the baby and the mum, we've got like object 1 is toy, column 1, toy 1, toy 2, toy 3. Partner was number 4. Inattentive was number 5. Uncoded was number 6. And they've somehow plotted. I don't know how I've done this, but they've plotted these things on these timelines. And I just couldn't. I didn't know what the name was for this. I don't know what they've done.
Okay.
Quite specific. They're quite, and I don't know what they've done with these lines are, but they've done some specific. I know you can plot ones, like the number 1, and like going across and stuff, but I don't know how they've done these because the y-axis, this is categorical.
Yeah. Okay. When you asked me, I thought it was about plotting two-dimensional Cartesian axis.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because they do. I mean,
not like they invented it. It should be on Google or something, and
But yeah, I just can't. Maybe they did. Maybe they do. Maybe they've done something bespoke. Maybe we need to ask them and see what they've done. But because I've looked up all sorts of like timelines, time series, time frequency things, and just can't find anything. So, yeah, that's one of the things we want to try and eventually. This is where you see like where the baby follows the mum and stuff. You can it's quite visual. It's quite nice to see to see this stuff. So yeah, Yeah. Another day. Another day.
Step by step.
Step by step, indeed. Cool. All right. I won't take any of your time, Demetris. What's the time there? Is it 10 past 10? Are you 2 hours ahead?
Yeah, 10 past 10.
Nice. Cool. Well, yeah, thanks for going through that. It's amazing. Really kind of you.
Yes, guys.
Really kind of you. Cool. Bexy, are we going through stuff tomorrow evening, aren't we? I think.
Yeah. Sorry, Dimitri was just saying sorry to Dimitri.
Oh, right.
It's very confusing.
Who's older? Who was called Demetris?
My Dimitri is older.
Our grandfather, actually.
Yeah.
Are there any others in the family, or is it just you two?
There's another one.
Really similar age as well.
He's my cousin's age. I'm the youngest one.
Right. I guess you only have like 5 names in Cyprus anyway, right?
No, it's a thing where we're being named after our grandfather, so that's why we got 3 Demetrises in the family.
Nice. Yeah. What are other names? Andros, is that a name? I guess.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Andros means man, doesn't it, in Greek? I think. Yeah. Nice. That's cool. That's cool.
And every girl is called Maria.
Yeah, lots of Maria. Christina's as well.
And it's confusing because both these Dimitris have a sister called Maria. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And our fathers have the same birthday as well.
Really?
Yeah.
guys-
They're brothers and they were born on the same day, just 8 years apart.
Wow. Just the same person living parallel.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. All right. I'm gonna go have some dinner then. Thanks.
Cool, guys. Have a good one, and hit me up if you need anything else.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Have a good week. Bex, will speak to you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Cool, see
Thank
you
you,
tomorrow.
Dimitri.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.